Hi, thanks for joining me for this exploration of HTML and CSS to customize your very own web page. I'm Samantha Dalby, the Director of K-12 Education at Nubo Co. in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And today we're going to be using glitch.com to learn a little bit about HTML and CSS. So please open a browser, type in glitch.com, and you should end up here. You should be able to create your very own free account to save your projects and share them later. At any time during this video, feel free to pause it, do some work, and then come back to it. It's totally up to you. It's really just for you to explore and learn a little bit about developing websites. Once you're set up on Glitch, go to the search section and search for My 6-Word Summer. Click on My 6-Word Summer that pops up. This is an already functioning website, and we'll be using it to explore, learn, and modify. We're going to go to View Source, and it will open up the project for us. So for websites, HTML and CSS really work together. HTML is the content and structure of your page, and similar to writing a document in a word processor like Word or Google Docs. This is where we're going to start, the index.html file, which has all of our HTML code in it. Now I like to go up to this show option and select next to code, because this allows me to see my edits and changes and how they impact the website here. So with HTML, they use tags, which looks like this, to define the code and the sections of your web page. Many of them use an open and close tag to wrap the content, as you can see with this HTML tag right here. So we have the open tag for HTML, and at the bottom we have the close tag with the slash. It's very important to help the browser understand what you're asking it to do. All of your content should be inside of this HTML tag for each page. Next, we see this head tag. That's really defining some of the information about your site and won't be seen by users. We'll come back to this later when we talk about CSS. Next, we see the body tag. This defines the content that will be seen by people that visit your website. It opens here and it closes here, and all of the content in between is what will show up on your website. This is where I recommend you start editing first to try things out. So let's dive in. First, we see this gray text here. This is actually a comment, and it explains that. So below here, it's telling you what's happening in the code. And it's a great way to give yourself notes when you come back to your code to see what you planned on doing, and also for when we might have errors and we need to debug something. The first tag we see here is H1 header tag. This controls the text that's on the side at the top of the page. There are actually 6 sizes for header tags, 1 through 6, and we're going to play around with that now. I recommend removing this ID tag here. You can check that out later within CSS, but that right now is restricting the font size. So if we take that out, we see the H1 size. Go ahead and try changing this to a different H number. I'm going to go with 4. So I'm going to change it at the beginning and the closing tag. And you'll see that it got smaller. Now I'm going to try H6. You'll see that that is the smallest size. So play around with that and see how the H1 through H6 changes the header size. And I'm going to go back to H1 since it's the very top of the page and I want it to be the biggest. I'm also going to add back in that ID tag as it was before. Next, we see this image tag. Now you'll notice that this is a bit different from our previous ones where it has an open and close. This is all just in with itself. So IMG is going to tell us that it's an image tag, and then it needs to have a source where that source is. So this is pulling an image from this website. If we copy that and put it into another browser tab, we should see that same picture that is in the background of our website here. So you can certainly change the background image, and I encourage you to try that out. But a good thing to remember is making sure that you're only using images that you have the right to use or permission to use. So it needs to be something that you've taken a picture of or you have permission to do that. If you want to find something online, a great place to look is in the Creative Commons image options. So I searched for Creative Commons images, and the CC search Creative Commons comes up. You can search for different topics or things that you're interested in, and then you'll need to grab that URL with the address, and then you can replace that here in your project. Continuing down, we see this next tag is a P tag or paragraph tag. Again, we have it open and close. And here's where we see the text for our poem. Feel free to make a poem or any kind of content that you want to change here. We should see it reflected on the side. Now the break tab is also an interesting one where it's just by itself. This one will put a new line in the web page. If you don't have that here, it'll just keep everything all in line in the same line, even if you have hit return in your page. You'll notice that I have a lot of space here, but it did not add any space over in the site. Finally, we have another paragraph tag, and this one is really about this links down here. So within that paragraph tag, they're linking to a Flickr site to highlight the photographer that used this image or that created the image. So if you are using an image that you found that's not yours, make sure to credit the person that took the picture. And this is a great example of how to do that. For this tag, it uses an anchor tag with an A, href equals, and then you need to make sure that your website that you're linking to is in quotes, just like the image up here needs to be in quotes. With this one, you'll also notice way over here that they have a closing bracket, but then they have the text that is going to be the text for that link is down here for Chris Ford. If we click on that, that's where the link will take us. And then it closes the anchor tag with the /A here. So this is one that's a little bit different from our normal, but it does have an open and close. It just allows for that text to be in here. You could also take that out. You could have it be an image. There are lots of different options that you could play around with. Then we come to the close of the body, and that is the end of our content. So for HTML, feel free to explore, change the text, try changing the image, make sure that you credit the images, and see what you can come up with.